Wait, do you ever get disappointed when you're showing someone something for the first time and you really want them to get it? And
No,
they
not
don't?
at all. I think
Yes.
Oh.
Matt knew exactly where I was
Absolutely.
going with that question.
I'm clearly an Eeyore.
I'm probably Rue.
I'm a Christopher Robin with a poo rising.
And then I get in a canoe and I'm like, Clairs don't like canoes.
No, they don't.
I'm afraid of this lake.
That's exactly what it was.
Ow.
It was a beautiful moment in our friendship. I was
literally in the middle of getting hers up and down the
Pathetic.
stairs. Ow. I was like, I'm trying to get my hair done. I'm like, ah.
I don't think that's an accurate representation of my owl.
Well, you were in such pain you couldn't see clearly. So,
Trauma.
Thank you for listening to the Last Will podcast. I'm Matt Young. I'm a theater educator and a parent. And ever since I lost my father to cancer, I have been mildly obsessed with death. This is my last will and testament. Albert Einstein once said, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." Today's episode is all about curiosity. We're back with the original members of the band. It's Grady and Claire and Matt. And today we take an interesting deep dive into the idea of curiosity. At one point, Claire asked me, is this where I thought the conversation would go? And it definitely didn't. Grady and I get in deep on the acting process, along with a few other interesting tangents. I hope you enjoy the episode. I just pressed record. I just did it. I just started it. Because I didn't want to lose Claire. She's got that's the stern face, like the babysitter's upset with the behavior of the children.
is it?
Am I wrong?
Julie by Polly Stenham.
Hey,
Read by Grady Dennis.
Grady's going to read us a little bit of a play. Do we have the copyright for it?
Yes.
Okay. You want to lead off with your hot take again?
My hot take?
Yeah.
My hot take, yeah, like I would. I'm sitting here with 1, 2,
A
3,
satchel full of plays.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plays. One of the plays. See, this is
I
fun.
said we were going to lose
That looks
Claire.
like a pamphlet.
Well, it's a monologue.
Can I
That's
see?
a 20-minute.
No wonder he wants to do this one. No one else could be in it. All right, continue your hot take.
I don't like when people when a book comes out or a play comes out and now it's become a thing and it's out there and it's done well and whoever starred in it is now on the cover of the book. I have no problem with that, but I don't like the
You do have a problem with it, though.
This monologue was done by Andrew Scott. I just want that on the record as well.
it was
Continue,
it was
continue.
written for him.
Well, originally,
Mm-hmm.
he did the original in 2008, and then they revised it with Tom Sturridge, who is on what is the name of that show that I can't remember, but I can't talk about it anymore because Neil Gaiman is now
Sandman.
The Sandman, yes,
Ugh.
his dream.
I don't like, especially with plays, when you put a picture on the front and then you have this image of this, or this is what this character has to look like. And there's just too many narrow-minded directors or actors that look and go, oh, that looks like me. Okay, I can do that. Well, that has nothing to do with it. Open it up and see what it's about. I mean, I open this up, this particular show with these two gentlemen on the front. I don't see these people at all. But I also I'm not seeking that out. So that's my hot take. Keep people's faces off shit. Let the work be the work. I hate it like when a book comes out and the second edition in paperback comes out and now it's got the movie thing on it. My God, and I
They're
know
trying
I know it's marketing.
Trying to sell books.
I know, but like
The character, Alex, 31. This monologue should be performed as far as possible on a bare stage, as far as possible in natural light, and as far as possible without sound effects.
Nope, nothing.
Alex addresses the audience directly. This is a play Seawall by Simon Stevens, which is Grady's favorite author of all time.
He's one of them. I have a few.
You are dedicated
I'm
to
very,
Mr. Simon Stevens.
I find his body of work to be incredible. between him, Polly Stenham, Lucy Preble, Simon Stone, who has an opera now that has been translated from Dutch. I think it originated in Hong Kong. Anyway, it's premiering at the Met in April, and I can't
His hands are
believe
shaking.
it.
His hands are shaking.
And it's it has to do with a school shooting and family, and it's I'm really.
When does it open?
April 26th, I believe, at the Met.
Of
The
2026.
set alone is of course a classic.
Just,
Simon Stevens. It's
you
a
know.
2-story cube
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
moves. It's just
Claire's here too. I don't know if the audience knew that. Claire is here. It's Claire and Grady and Matt, and we're all together. Should we cut that whole beginning part, or no? We should
No.
leave that in there.
I was thinking, I watched Dante's Peak last night, a movie about an exploding volcano.
Which also was written by Simon Stevens.
Okay.
No, am I wrong?
I don't know.
how's it spelled?
It could be with the V.
But I've been,
Totally different Stevens.
but I've been like really into like disaster movies, like natural disaster movies for so long. And I think
Are you just getting into that, realizing that you do that?
No, I think it's finally starting to affect me. Like I was affected. Like last night when I watched this movie,
Even though it's kind of just it's a
but I don't know.
action
It kind
film.
of like made me. There were times that I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so scared right now. Like, are they gonna make it? Like, what's gonna happen?" And then after the movie was over, I put my box fan in my window, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the other room to like brush my teeth. The box fan fell
Flew
out
out.
of the window,
Did you
and it made a
scream?
noise. I was so scared. I thought it was an exploding volcano.
in your window.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I had
That's
a
an
dream
effective
about
movie that Simon Stevens
and then I had a
wrote.
dream about a big moose that looked like a volcanic explosion cloud.
A volcanic moose cloud?
Okay, it was a moose, but it was very large, and it was the color of a volcanic explosion.
That's because in your mind you were spending a lot of time in Washington State, right? Up in the mountains? No. Where's Dante's Peak? That's Oregon?
No.
It's in the it's in
Did you say
Northwest.
Oregon?
Oregon.
Dante's Peak is in the Mall of America, right? It's in the middle.
I don't not the
that-
movie that Simon Stevens wrote.
No,
This takes place.
I hope he
and a
doesn't hear
fictional,
this
right?
because that is really
I'm pretty sure it is
slanderous.
fictional.
It's like
They
a fictional Mount St.
They
Helens.
did
really.
reference
It's
Mount
Dante's
St.
Peak.
Helens in the movie.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, that truck takes a lot of abuse.
Yeah, no, they should definitely have been dead. But it's a Pierce Brosnan movie, and he never dies.
No, and Renee Russo, right? If memory serves, I haven't seen it in a while.
I don't know her actual name. She was
The redhead.
the mayor. Her name was Rachel.
Was it? Should we look it up? Should we look up the Dante's Peak?
Anyway, I'm
Find out
wondering
who
if
this-
like these shows are like starting to really get to me now because I was like still thinking about it this morning, like a little nervous.
So that means you should keep
About
You should
volcanoes?
keep watching them then.
But I've been watching them for so long without effect, and now it's affecting me.
Linda Hamilton. I'm sorry, not Renee Russo.
Am I getting soft?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. But that's okay.
You're not getting soft.
Everybody should get a little like. Well, you shouldn't have like on a scale of 1 to 10. Your volcano panic should probably be a 4 or a 5, maybe, and yours is maybe a 6 or a 7 right now.
It's a little bit more of an 8.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
The minute you said you're watching Dante's Peak, I knew exactly what it was, and then I was like, "Is there a rival like when Armageddon came out versus what was the other Armageddon movie?
Hold on.
Where they
Don't want to close my eyes. I'm trying to.
Wait, I was
No,
just
there was a
talking
Robert
about this
Duvall.
last night
Sleep.
with my friends.
Well, that was also when the Island of Dr. Moreau came out and fucking what's his name went nuts and like made everybody's life a nightmare. Not Brando, but
Brando.
yeah,
Brando,
with the white paint.
and also a little bit of Val Kilmer. I
Great
think, right?
Impact.
Yeah, Val
Deep
Kilmer.
Impact?
Deep
Deep Impact,
Impact.
thank you. So I thought there was a Deep Impact Armageddon thing. I'm
thinking
looking
of
it
the-
up, and you came up with it quicker. So
Deep
kudos.
I literally-
points
yeah.
to Claire.
The whole reason I even know this is because I was out with some friends last night. We were all talking about these movies, and they said the exact thing about Armageddon versus Deep Impact, and then they mentioned Dante's Peak, and that's the one I decided to watch.
And the opposite of that was a movie called Volcano.
Yes,
With
which I
Anne
also saw.
Hathaway and Gabby Hoffman and Don Cheadle and Tommy Lee Jones. I think what happens.
There was like lava running through the water pipes.
Keith David. No, I think what happens is somebody writes a script. Somebody they purchase it to make it, and then the idea leaks out, and so another studio's like, we got to rush our volcano disaster film, and so they write one real quick, and that's why there's always two, based upon probably somebody wrote a volcano movie, and then each
Happens with
studio
everything, right?
grabs that.
Ted Lasso happened, so now you have the Kate Hudson show where she takes over the basketball team, which is quite good. Then now the new show.
Yeah, but they weren't like rivals. I think probably what happened with Ted Lasso
it's
was they saw the
inspired by it.
success.
I
Yes.
mean, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, you're speaking of rivaling. Yeah.
But like that whole Jeannie Buss story of who she is and who the whole thing is based on, I mean, it makes sense. I'm glad they made it a comedy. And I'll watch anything that Mindy Kaling creates. But yeah, no, these are like studios being, I believe, like deceptive to each other,
Yeah.
and rushing their asteroid disaster
That's
film
insane.
in.
Like having like
Aliens
2
invade.
volcano movies in like 2 years, and like now like nobody would ever make a volcano movie.
No, but I think if they figured out some other disaster, the other studio would try to like rush to get their disaster movie out.
Tubi
There
has-
was that for a while where
Tubi has a plethora of disaster movies, and they're all D ones that just like went straight to video. And I'm having a fit. Tubi is the best thing out there.
you love your Tubi.
Even Jaws, all the Jaws got put up. So Jaws 3 got put up yesterday.
It's not in 3D though.
No, and they need to clean it up
Yes,
because
yes,
the
they do.
3D parts,
But
they
isn't
really
that the best part of it? Is that like you can just make fun of the 3D parts?
Why would you make fun of it?
Uh-oh. Stepped in it, Claire. You
Didn't-
stepped in it.
No, it's Calvin Bouchard had worked very hard. It's
How does he
Undersea
know that
Kingdom.
name?
Calvin
Do you
Bouchard?
remember when we had like a whole hour-long discussion about Jaws 3?
Oh, yeah, because he did a one-man version of it that we're not allowed to see.
Bought it to watch
based
it
to
afterwards.
copyright or some silly thing like that.
No, you can see it.
Can I
You
j-
have seen it, haven't you?
I've seen parts of it.
You've never seen the whole thing.
I don't think I've seen the whole thing, no.
Jaws 3?
His Jaws 3, no, I don't think I've seen the whole thing. I'm saving
Is
it
there
for Christmas
another Jaws 3?
when I'm alone.
Or
No,
is
no,
there more than one
no.
Jaws 3? Why are
No.
you saying his Jaws 3?
Oh, wait. So you're
Well,
not
we
you're
will-
not
we
with
will-
us
we
on
will
this, are
watch
you,
that
Claire?
after we finish recording.
Grady did a version
Oh.
I
that
wrote-
he's showing
I
us
wrote a-
pieces of
I wrote a
Jaws
version.
3.
I have seen that.
And that is
Of
it-
one man.
That is up.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Can I just say, we're at like the almost 13-minute mark.
Great.
And last week, when Claire and I did our whatever we did, we reached like all of the topic. We like went through it in the same amount of time. And then I was like, oh my God, how are we going to finish this? And we did finish it. But today we haven't even gotten to the topic. People who are listening now would have no clue what the topic is. And I do wonder.
Are you
because-
curious about it?
I am curious about it, Claire. Wink, wink, honk, honk. Remember when we first brought up this topic, which is curiosity? We'll just say that somebody of the three of us said that they weren't any good at it and they wouldn't have anything to add, and perhaps they're the one who is stalling a little bit before we get started in our topic. The sign of somebody who's stalling. I'm fine. So we're talking about curiosity today. And obviously, Grady's love for plays is part of his curiosity because he's always trying to get more information in. Doesn't matter what the subject matter is. You're always reading. Reading is curiosity, isn't it?
Well, I guess it can be to some people. I don't
But
find,
not to you.
I don't associate that word with it. Why don't we ask AI what's the difference in? Hold on.
Let me read definition first,
Fine.
and then I'll ask AI
Fine.
what you want to ask it.
Fine.
Is there another word in the English lexicon other than fine that never means fine? Like if anybody uses the word fine,
Good.
they don't mean good.
Hey, how are
I'm
you?
fine.
Good.
I'm fine. It's basically like, stop talking to me. Fine. All right, curiosity. Curiosity is a strong desire to learn or know more about something. It involves an eagerness to explore, discover, or understand new information, ideas, or experiences. Curiosity often drives individuals to ask questions, seek out new knowledge, and explore their surroundings. That's the definition. Definition? I should learn how to speak. Definition. That's the definition of curiosity.
Well, Grady's just like shaking his head this whole time.
You don't agree with any of that, or no? You're doing something else that
I'm
you're.
looking, I'm y'all talk. I'm just
Okay.
I'm finding something on my phone.
I believe you're going to read it. I believe as a creative thinker, curiosity is exactly what you need to put discovery at the forefront of any process. Like if you're settled in your idea, like just talking about a rehearsal process or whatever, if you're settled in on your ideas and you are memorizing your lines the way that you memorize your lines, you are cutting out what I think is part of the glory of being a creative thinker or a creative human being. I don't know. I can't think of a better way to put it. And so curiosity is the thing that's like, what other answers are out there? So at the forefront of everything that I like to do and how I like to do it, I put curiosity at the top because that leads to discovery, which I think is where all creativity lies. Like when being funny and people are like, oh, this is funny, and they plan things. I'm like, in a theatrical process, if you don't know that something works because you haven't put it in front of an audience, the only way you discover where the rhythms are, where the punchline is, how to make the delivery is through the idea of discovery. So if I have an idea for a joke, I know how to play it through a process in rehearsal to find out if it works. Whereas a lot of people are just like, oh, this will be funny, let's do this. And I just never believe that. And
well, those people aren't artists.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Because you can't be an artist if you aren't staying curious.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Okay.
You absolutely can. It's
All right.
not true.
All right. Explain it to us.
Fine. Curiosity is a state of mind. Curiosity is a mindset of wonder and exploration. It's driven by interest. Questioning is an action. So I'm constantly questioning things.
Curiosity.
Well,
You don't question
may
if you're
lead
not
to
curious.
questions, while curiosity can manifest in various ways. Asking questions is a common expression of curiosity. Doesn't necessarily mean it is curious. It is curiosity. One's a state of mind and one's a state of action. But they do cross over and meet, and eventually one will inform the other.
You can't question without curiosity. Like
I
maybe
don't-
it's semantics, but it's the same thing.
I am not actively going, I have to go find out about this. I'm just doing it. And when I'm working on something on the stage, I'm not actively trying.
Isn't that the same thing? If you're looking for it, you're doing it.
But I'm not looking for it, really.
No, but you're saying it's the difference between premeditated curiosity and
yes, exactly.
And curiosity.
You
have a curiosity. You have a curious nature, and so you're always questioning whether you're thinking about it or not. You're always searching. You're always discovering, and through that, you can be labeled. I'm sorry, and we're going to get you a T-shirt that says it. I am a curious person.
I'm a medium.
Even if the cotton shrinks, you want a medium?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I always thought curiosity was a bad word because I was told to stop being curious always as a kid.
Okay, so let's unpack that
And
for a little bit.
then because
Who said it to you?
everybody,
Can I kill them?
be quiet, stop asking, no, just listen. I'm like, but I don't.
But you can
But I
from
always-
an
but I-
overview.
But I associated with like, don't go in that drawer. And then if I'm curious, I'm like, oh well, then I'm gonna do something naughty. So I associate curiosity with being naughty.
Okay, and that's understandable.
So I don't,
but
I'm not interested in trying to go be naughty.
But that's not true. That's so not true. You're always interested in being naughty.
Naughty?
You were a tiptoe in the line of naughty all the time. All the time.
Name them.
Name them. Okay. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So you can, though, as an adult, stand back and go, they were in the wrong for blanketing curiosity as this thing of only being naughty, right? You can see the fact that they were either impatient or frustrated or narcissistic or whatever you want to put on them to say that they didn't want to put up with what they thought was some sort of annoyance by you, and they labeled it as this one thing, and you've carried that your whole life into believing that this one thing, curiosity, was a bad thing. But you can see how that was a flaw in them and not a flaw in you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. I don't feel bad about that.
But it is curiosity.
My theater mentor would allow me to ask questions constantly, and I did.
Because you were curious.
But as I was questioning.
It's interesting.
It's a bit of semantics for sure.
It is semantics, and I need to shake it out because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
No, because I think within this circle, we think of curiosity as a very like.
I think
important
curiosity
thing.
is like a whimsical. Like I've always liked the word. You know, it's always been like a whimsical thing. Like questioning, curiosity, they're like a little bit of the same thing.
And that's
to
what
me.
I was saying.
Yeah.
They are on the same line.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting that questioning is an action, and curiosity is a trait, a state of mind. So why is the definition of that? Well, how do we break those apart and make those their own things and make it make sense?
Well, it's objective and action. What do you want? How do you get what you want? Verbs are things that you can act. States of mind are things that you can think
and
about.
And when I hear like, what do you want and stuff, I shut down immediately. I don't, that's not how I work. I'm not, sometimes you just don't want anything. Humans sometimes don't have to want anything. They just do shit.
I don't think, I
People
think whether
just
it's
do shit
but I think
sometimes.
whether it's conscious or not, you still want something.
So even if
You're just not
if the
conscious of
subconscious
it.
is wanting it and going after it,
Yeah.
it's still wanting something.
Absolutely. Even if you want
So
like
then-
peace and quiet, there are things that you have to be in pursuit of to get like peace and quiet or rest.
But does that ruin the character then if you have to then break it down their subconscious and which should be working in the background constantly? And is there total honesty there if you're breaking that down and then knowing what the subconscious is doing and what the conscious mind is doing, and whether you're having to stand on a revolve or you're naked and covered in blood or whatever? We're
talking about plays and acting.
Yes, to marry all those things together. So, but I find that if I don't care about that. I don't want to go into the subconscious. Let that be part of it, because if I'm being honest, you'll see what my subconscious is doing, and it is driving me to do this, even though I'm saying I don't want anything out of this. I'm not looking for anything.
Well,
but the subconscious is looking for something, but I'm not interested in that part and digging into that back part of it.
Right, and understanding what's
'Cause
going
I don't
on
want to-
in
'cause
your
then
brain,
it's-
because then it takes you out of like being in the moment.
Without a doubt.
I just think that I think as the vessel for the work, we as actors, not the character, but we as actors need to understand what's going on. And I think as well that when technique is most needed is when we make sure that we get ourselves lost in a process. Like we don't just follow our instincts and we don't just do this one thing, but we go about like being creative with purpose and success is I always say this thing that I can't think of right now, but success isn't based upon luck. When we're putting it in our subconscious, it could just be based upon luck that we get this thing. But if we do it by design, that we trust technique, especially when we're not feeling the most creative, that's when we can really find sustained success. And then maybe when it comes to you've done all of that work in your process, in your rehearsal, then you show up to showtime, and then you don't have to think about it as consciously as
you can just be,
before.
which is the hardest thing to do, is to just be.
I think
but that goes back to the art of destabilization.
Okay.
Where you get actors that have great technique and then take it all away from them.
The technique?
Take it all away from them. Take all the artifice away from them. So you go out there and say, make mistakes, go be shit and save it.
But I don't think technique is sans mistakes. I think technique is a way to make sure that you are exploring, that you are going out there.
You don't want an actor. Listen, anyone can learn technique. But you don't want an actor that has no technique. You want actors that. But if you find an actor that has great technique, and you get them and you take it all away from them, then you just have total honesty with them, and then they can just be and not have to worry about all these mechanics of it. And then that's why I think you look at performances and go, "Wow, I'm not even watching a performance. I'm watching someone's life," because those are the people that do have the best technique, but because of the destabilization, then you get their real response. You get their real...
I don't think I know this destabilization thing. I think technique isn't a thing that goes 100% of the time. I think it's got to be the foundation for which you build your work. And it never kind of leaves, but it also doesn't always like go at the forefront. So I don't think I understand always pulling everything away. And also, too, like I'm always conscious of what's going on. Even when I lose myself a little bit on stage, I always kind of know what's going on anyways.
And I think this is part of the autistic experience, too, because I disassociate so much, and I'm able to disassociate whether I'm trying to or not. That plays into it. So...
But also, though, like without technique, without all of that stuff, you don't know what you're communicating. No, you could feel a certain thing, but you could be communicating something totally different.
Technique. You don't want actors that don't have any technique. But I'm saying take the best actors with their technique and then take it all away from them.
Yeah, I just don't understand why, like, as an experiment in a rehearsal?
No, just.
And then how can you fully take away someone's, like...
By not putting people on a stage immediately and letting them start almost performing, by rehearsing in a rehearsal room where you rehearse for a couple hours and you go through the text and that's it.
I don't understand how that's
discuss how the scene, you break it down, you discuss what it's about, and then you leave the room and you kind of go back to it as you're getting closer to being on the set.
Yeah, but that's not taking away technique. I mean, technique is used
in because these actors already have this great technique that you don't have to worry about.
I know it sounds kind of vague. The broad strokes that we're talking about.
I have a hard time explaining it.
About what technique is, and it can be very, very different things. To me, like breaking down the scene into beats, maybe even labeling the beats and talking about it, and then running it and doing the table work is all part of the technique. And then when we get into a rehearsal process where you get rid of scripts, then it's more about like what verbs am I understand what my action is and what I want, like an overall objective. And then I use different actions to kind of explore the space in between to discover all these things that the foundation in which my table work did is there. And then eventually I do all of those things as like a soup, put a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then at the end I don't think about it, and they're all kind of soaked in what I'm doing. And so it can be based upon. Then I can just be present in the moment. Right. Maybe that's what you're saying too.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
The destabilization and present doesn't match to me. So I'm not sure how I would. That's why I think it's harder for me to understand what you were saying. But eventually, yeah, I mean, I still use whatever certain technique, but like
I guess I'm talking about stripping the artifice away of it all too.
Yeah, you don't. You want to give over to process. Instead of just focus on product and stuff like that, which our young people are often just pushed towards product. I mean, the show in which a lot of these kids do that has all the money thrown at it and all of that stuff is all based upon product, and it's all performative and stuff like that. So when we're like, look, this isn't a good experience for our kids, and the parents are like, but they have great costumes, blah, 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 this is so good for them.
That doesn't matter.
No,
if your costume burnt overnight, you're not going to do the show the next day. If the lights go out, you're not going to do the show.
Grady, you got to stop burning costumes just to prove.
I don't know why it's on fire.
Hi, Claire.
Hi.
You're like, we've lost her.
I guess I am. I guess it is a curiosity that if I watched, I don't know how many times I've watched Vanessa Kirby and Julie, but I will watch a show over and over again with purpose. So I think one of the last times I watched it, for that 90 minutes, I only watched Vanessa Kirby's mouth. What is she doing with her mouth, her teeth, her tongue, her cheeks? That's it. And if I got caught off of that, it's a practice. It takes discipline. That's all I'm doing. All I want to see is her mouth. What is her mouth doing?
And what is your...
And I don't know why I'm asking for that, but it's feeding me something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not trying to steal from her, but it's so interesting. And then I've found this there's like a 3-step with her that it usually starts with a hand gesture and moves to her eyes and then to her mouth. And then it's in here. And then she says the line. And it's this 3-step process. And I don't know that she's thinking of it in that way, but I've broken it down to, oh, wow, this is actually a formula. And it works for her in a really beautiful way.
Sounds a little bit like an obsession. Like, and not in a bad way.
So if we're talking about the artistic experience, it's a special interest. And so you're right. And I said this yesterday to a friend. I said that this would seem to anyone else like obsession. Is this healthy? But it is for me. Mm-hmm. I need that. I love it. I love it. It's so cool to me to only watch one thing in a show. I just want to see just what your hands are doing for 90 minutes. I just want to see, what are you doing with your hands for 90 minutes?
I think it's great. I do think, though, when we meet Vanessa Kirby, we shouldn't bring it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that shouldn't be. It's just, I love your work.
Vanessa Verby.
Vanessa Verby?
But we've used her real name already, I guess, haven't we?
No, I'm just saying. No, she's not going to listen to this. But I'm just saying.
She
When she may. Then we'll say I said it instead of you. So you can go up. So you can go up to her and have a normal conversation and go, look, I'm really a big fan of your work. I love your work.
I guess
Not your
mouth.
hand. I don't love your
And your
hands and your
mouth.
lips. I watched your lips first. No, but I get why that is. Yes. It seems like an obsession, like an OCD thing, but like that is part of what feeds your curiosity, your creativity, how things work in a mechanical way when you've already enjoyed it on an emotional level, when you've already enjoyed it
Right, exactly. And I don't have to
an artistic level. You're still enjoying this thing. You're it's going to sound weird, but like you're wringing everything out of it that is interesting to you and that could continue to be interesting to you.
Don't think I'm not taking stuff for myself or going, oh, this really works when you breathe in this way with this
but
type of...
I don't think you're watching it for. I don't think that's why you're watching it.
Sometimes.
You think so?
Sure.
Okay.
I go into it with the intention of that.
As
Or
I'll
I'll take even another script and watch the show and go, this is very similar. How does this kind of breath work with this same type of text? And then I'll work on that text, and I find that really... So I am very curious about that.
You are. And all of that is technique. That's
so
not
I've just said it. I'm not going to say it again.
I think that the issue that Grady is
And it is semantics.
is trudging through is like there is it's difficult to put a word on what it is that we're all experiencing the same thing in slightly different ways, but we're putting the word curious on it, and he has a negative association with the word curious. So he's
right, and we learned
that,
exactly where that came from.
and he's fighting that term.
Yeah.
But questioning and curious, like when I think of questioning, I think of like someone being interviewed, and I think of like someone being questioned and like
in a murder trial.
In a murder trial. And
Yeah.
like, and detectives are like questioning people because they're trying to get
I
information.
get, but that's naughty. That's bad stuff.
I mean, but it's not, but it's all tied into the same thing. Like
It
these
is.
people are trying to get to the truth of something.
Right.
So they are asking questions. There isn't like an overlying like curiosity. It's like they have to do their job, but there is like curiosity is like, we don't know the answer to this thing. We're curious about what happened. Let's find out. So there's all these actions. So you're right.
Right. Questioning is an action. Curiosity is a trait, a state of mind. That's what AI says anyway. That's not from me.
Yeah, my AI said something different. No,
I question things in my mind too. So it's like.
But are you curious about it, or do you need to question it for survival? Do you need to question it because it's?
Do we have to do any of that for survival?
Sure. As a queer person, I'm constantly questioning things when I walk into a room. Doesn't matter where I am because I want to make sure I'm safe.
So, like, is curiosity the menu and questioning
I'm
is ordering?
not curious to know if you're going to hurt me or not like me because I'm gay, but I'm certainly going to question who I'm around and if I'm safe and what I can and cannot talk about. And maybe that's another spectrum issue. Well, it is an issue because
I think it's a self-preservation safety thing.
I think women probably have to deal with that as well.
I was told my whole life, you don't discuss this, don't talk about this.
Yeah.
People are uncomfortable about this. They don't understand. Don't talk about it. So then it becomes a very lonely, isolating experience where curiosity then feels sad.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of you're opening me up to the idea of I never really thought of it as questioning. I would think of what you were saying as just like a heightened awareness in terms of situations and understanding, but I don't think I would ever thought of it as questioning. But you're right, it's questioning. I have to question when you walk into a room.
As a director, even, I don't know.
But to me, in the arts,
you don't think about it.
I think of it as curiosity,
right?
Even though you're right. Questioning is the to question.
The act of actually
is the verb
assessing
that I would play.
the room,
right? You can't. Curiosity is not a verb.
Right.
To be curious
Because
is
I've
not.
found the other way when I haven't questioned before, probably in the past, and I've stepped in it and gone, oh, fuck. Well, now I'm like a target.
Yeah.
So that's a safety precaution.
I do think, like, not to shrug that off, because I'm
I don't.
not.
I don't think you're shrugging anything off.
I do think it's all semantics. I do think it's all the same.
It's all
thing.
going to the same party.
Yeah, for sure. Outside of the arts, what do we like to be curious about? Like, I have, since I took a class. This sounds so like trite compared to what we were just talking about, but I took a class in college, like a winter class, because we had a big break during winter, and I took a Civil War class. And so I have, since I had that class with Ken Osborne, I believe his name was, had a curiosity about the Civil War, so much that when Grady came in, I was listening to a podcast on the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. I still have curiosity about that type of stuff. The Civil War would definitely be my Roman Empire.
People talk about the Roman Empire. I'm like the Greeks. I never ever think about the Roman Empire.
I do a little bit because I like Caesar.
But that must be a big thing, because I see these videos and things of what's your Roman Empire. I'm like, people really think about the Roman Empire.
I
all
even
the
took
time?
a video of you
But-
guys. Do you remember? I did
Yes.
that to you guys once.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time. But I also studied like Latin and.
Why do the
I
Greeks
actually
get
love,
shoved under the rug?
I love the
mean,
classics.
I don't think they do.
No, they aren't.
Look, my boy, my eldest is into those Greeks. He
They're
likes those
actually
myths.
people probably know more about
the Greeks than they do
the
the
Greeks.
Romans.
They know
well, maybe
they know
that's it.
they know equally about each of them. They just don't. No one's asking about how much do you think about Greek mythology. They're thinking
What about
how
the
much do you
Persians?
think
Talk
about
about that. Talk about an empire.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And the Egyptians. I see.
But
the Egypt. I think about Egypt.
I just think about Egypt all the time.
I do.
The Library of Alexandria. Where did it go? No, because of this guy, this teacher I had, and my like love for the Civil War, which has followed me throughout, and I still like read and study. It's like history, you know.
It's Robert E. Lee.
Is he? Ugh. Did you know that Robert E. Lee was offered
He
to
re-
lead the Army of the Potomac at the beginning of the war, but he said he couldn't take that position
It was
because
a
he would.
Wednesday. He'd moved something
Yes.
twice. He couldn't move it again.
No, he couldn't go to war with Virginia, which is where
He was-
His
he was
girlfriend?
from. Yeah, where his girlfriend was from. So,
He's from South Carolina, though.
but they offered it to him too before they.
Wait,
offered it to
Robert E.
McClellan.
Lee.
He's from
Yes.
South Carolina.
Wasn't he
He was the
guy?
the general of the army.
General
of,
Lee?
Yes, General.
His first
Lee.
name is
Yeah.
Robert. Okay, got
Mr.
it.
Lee,
Robert E. Lee.
Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee.
That's him.
It's really hard to listen
See?
to that song.
And that's the idea of a turn or return. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes. We're reinterpreting this character.
Yes, he was.
So
bad,
I
he was
guess
bad.
I-
He was bad in both.
You know what? I am curious. The thing I am most curious about in my own life is my own mind. I can't understand how my
was just
mind
gonna
works.
say that.
I don't know how my mind works, and I don't mean how it. Like how do I figure that out? How did
No,
you do
no,
that,
but-
Grady?
but you
I
do-
don't understand how it works, and I'm constantly curious because I look at every play I have here,
Yes.
and all 5 books I have. I'm about to finish one, so 6. So there are 5 books I have to read for the rest of the summer. Each book deals with death. Each story is grief and loss. Every single one. It's the one thing in life I'm not afraid of is death. And I'm curious to know why that is. I have no fear of death whatsoever.
Your own death?
Yes. I don't really fear death of anyone or anything.
But you do fight for survival.
Not always.
Well, aren't we always?
I think
aren't we
I
as
think
humans?
sometimes in diving into these plays, and yeah, that is a fight for survival for me. I don't know what I'd do without these.
Are you also trying to uncover how people deal with grief?
I'm not. I mean, all these plays deal with the human experience. That's all I really care about.
Right,
Is how we work as humans.
And sometimes you feel on the outside of that being autistic.
Very much.
And so
It's a low-
you're diving deep into these plays kind
Yeah,
of gives
it's-
you opens a window into
Yeah,
human behavior.
yeah.
Not healthy. Most of these people aren't healthy human behavior. I just want you to know that.
But the
when they
thing
write
is-
when they write plays, they don't write about like how people handle things really, really well. You know? Hamlet doesn't come back to Denmark and be like,
Look what I got from Timu. Okay. Mom.
I'm going to see a therapist to deal with Dad's death. You know?
I also find that it I don't know. It's
It's interesting to you. You're curious about it.
yeah, and I don't
Nailed
know.
it.
It
Got him.
feels.
Trapped him.
Now, I said that on the text. Don't be doing that.
Oh, okay.
Don't be doing the kind of like touchdown shit.
I just did my touchdown dance.
I am
I
being.
just did my touchdown
I'm-
dance.
It wasn't really a
I'm
dance.
trying to be nice.
Stop it. When I dance, it rains. So you don't want me to dance, okay?
Oh my God, Grady, go ahead. You were saying.
I was.
All right, well, shut this thing down.
I just had a stroke.
No, you're there.
That's not funny, actually. We shouldn't joke about strokes. No, I think maybe that is why I've always been drawn to literature or text. That, yeah,
Because it definitely opens windows for you.
but I'm not scared of it, and I don't. And it's the one thing people always say, "What are you scared of?" I'm scared of death. I'm scared of death.
Yeah, that and public speaking. That's what most people say.
Well, what's the psychological analysis? And I've heard Erica Badu, I think, talk about this. I don't know why this is ringing in my head. 88% of society are willing to follow. 10% are creatives or leaders. 5% are observers. So what does that leave us with another 10%?
No, it's not enough.
I stopped. Like the math
Listening
part,
to
I
me.
just stopped.
Oh, okay.
No, I was.
88%.
You put numbers in it. I was just done. That's my brain. That's my brain on numbers.
Matt, yes.
That's also my butt sometimes.
So I don't know. I
also think though that you're curious about your like understanding the autistic brain as well as how would we put it?
It's fascinating
a non-autistic brain. Like, could you listen to a podcast? What's the lady that you put me onto when we were doing Curious Incidents? Chloe. Yeah. Like, she's fascinating to you.
Yeah.
You're curious about how she copes and
Because
deals
she can
with things.
explain things in a way that I can't, but I go, oh wow. But I mean, we all have that when you read something and go, oh my gosh, you've taken these words out of my own head.
Yeah.
And because we all share the same collective experience, it's just for me, it's on a different plane, but it's all the same thing. We're all experiencing the same thing. I don't know why I'm asking the question of. And so interested in grief and loss and expressing that.
Well,
but maybe I've had so much grief and loss in my life that I want to share that it's okay to have that, and it's okay to express it and not repress it. And I don't know if that's coming from a queer male growing up in the South and really having to be very careful and hide almost.
Well, I mean, to the opposite of that, because I was just thinking of women who have, maybe they've also dealt with their own hand in life of like repression.
And let's be clear, everything I'm reading is about women.
Yeah, and
almost.
Yeah.
And so with and some women, because of their upbringing or the women in history, have been told not to be curious.
Don't be curious. Don't question.
And so they just have like turned the curiosity switch off. So they just operate.
And then that's passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah. And then somebody
but that's
in the
a trauma
generation,
to me. That's a trauma to me.
And then someone has to break the cycle.
And I find that, and I don't think this word gets used properly enough because that's violence to me. That's violent. To create a cycle that continues, that doesn't get broken, where a woman is told, do not ask questions, get married, have a kid, that's your worth. If you don't do it, you're not gonna. You got to follow through that. Men aren't asked to take that on like women are, and it's not fair. So I find that to be a violent act. To shut off someone's curiosity or tell them that they cannot be curious. They should not be. They have no right to be. I find that very violent and very offensive.
So, Matt, did we go in the direction you thought we'd go in today?
Do you find... Sorry.
No, I don't.
I asked that question
I don't-
because no is my answer.
Yeah, no,
for
I,
you.
I definitely didn't. I wasn't sure what it was going to be.
I know, me neither.
I mean, I wouldn't say wasted time, but we got into curiosity and art and process, which may be interesting to Grady and I deeply, and may have put you to sleep at some point. But I do think we're on to something much more important, and I'm feeling like I should be quiet, as a white male, to really kind of hear about your experience with shutting down curiosity and Grady's experience with feeling like he shouldn't question, because I've never, for the most part, people haven't said to me, quiet my curiosity down, or don't be curious, or any of that. They may have taught me to be more macho and put my emotions away, but that's not
Your
really
big
what's
boy
going
pants
on.
on.
Yeah, I mean,
But
men,
do you feel like that's a violent act? That's a harmful act?
I haven't really thought of it in that way. Like, violence to me is a big word, and violence is a big action. When I think of, what we were just talking about as far as the suppression and, turn off your curiosity, it's I think that I look at that as abusive,
Aggressive,
Which is,
maybe not violent, but
yeah.
aggressive.
which is a form of violence. But I personally think of violence as far as physical violence, and I think of abuse can be more emotional. That's what I would think. I mean, I actually, and the reason I thought of this is because I grew up post, well, I don't know if it was me or if it was the way I was raised, but I don't actually feel like I was raised in an environment where I was told not to be curious. I mean, I was definitely told not to do certain things that would get me in trouble, or this and
But
that.
you weren't told, don't read this, don't.
Oh, I had to read everything.
Right.
But in fact, that was one of the weird parts, because I if I had curiosity about reading, I would have read a lot more. But I grew up forming myself as an adolescent. I surrounded myself with women, or one girl I'm thinking of in particular, and we were curious about what it meant to be girls in our world.
Right.
And
Well, how did you discover?
we just I mean, I learned a lot from her because she seemed to be of I don't know how to describe it. She just wasn't like every other girl. Like, everyone else is a little bit more cookie cutter.
But you intuited that and you connected to her, so maybe
Yeah.
she thought of you in the same way.
And I have no idea. But we just felt like we supported each other in such a way that no other women did. And I don't know if that's really true, but my sister sort of pioneered this, let's break the mold of what women are doing today. Like, we're gonna break that box. Like, she definitely paved the feminist path for me, and I was a little bit nervous about that discovery. And my parents were not in any way oppressive of the female experience. They were like, whatever you are, whatever you choose to be, we'll love you and we'll support you. And that was a huge blessing. Because
I didn't get the suppression at home. No. It was school, other places.
A little bit, though. I mean, you have talked about.
Yes, you're talking too much. Be quiet. Yeah. So yeah. So
Even in coming out, I mean, did you have a formal coming out to them, or?
that's very complicated.
Did you also
Yeah, I
have
mean, you
a
don't- you don't-
formal?
No, I don't mind. It's
About
just we don't
coming
have
out?
enough time to unpack it. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's so it's horribly complicated and not very pretty.
Yeah.
Not because they were. Well,
Not because they didn't love you, but they knew
there
the
were
society.
things going on in our family that were already so much that
Yeah.
it brought out the worst in a lot of.
I was far more sensitive to my my male gay friends who I sensed were gay,
And they probably-
not sharing it, and I was very more so than being a woman. I didn't see any like I didn't have any issues actually being a woman. Well, that I can think of at the time. Looking back on it, yes, there were plenty, but at the time I was like, this is one of my closest male friends. He's trying to quietly come out of the closet, and I'm so much more concerned for his journey
in his safety, right,
and what his experience is
and
than anything I am experiencing,
and keeping his secret for him until he yeah, that was a big deal coming out. Was once you did it, okay, it's now out there and you can't take it back. I don't know. I think
people would do it for you too.
Yes,
absolutely. That was what infuriated me.
That was what always, that
the people are like, oh, he's gay
too. I would imagine.
Guys, I'm worried about. No, shut the fuck up. You're not worried about it. You want to pass this on,
right?
But I don't think kids today, and you work with kids obviously, and I do too, and they don't give a shit.
Well, in the culture that I work
maybe
with,
I just happen to be around theater
girls,
kids. So.
The girls are the girls who are gay are open, and the guys who are not. You know,
they're still not coming out.
Not in the inner city.
Well, you know, one of the things that happened politically this week, and that besides all of that was super like annoying with the Elon Musk and the Donald Trump like backlash. You know, there were all these gay jokes about them, and I was looking at that and I was like, to me, that's not funny. Yeah. You know, you're basically putting you're making a joke out of something that's actually really serious for people. That's who people are. Why are you making it look like it's a bad thing?
Yeah, I mean that's like at the core of it. And Grady, obviously, you could speak to it on a deeper level, but like they're using it as a derogatory, like they're using it to hurt these masculine men. Mm-hmm. They're calling them gay and they're calling them a couple. In order to,
I'm curious to know why people think that's them. Yeah. Why is that? You know, I saw a commercial with Sofia Vergara the other day, and it's a Schwarzkopf hair commercial, and the whole joke is she can't pronounce Schwarzkopf, and I looked and I thought, what? That's not funny anymore. I don't know. Is it? It's her whole shtick, but now we're like making fun of someone that speaks another language. And English isn't their first language, and they can't pronounce Schwarzkopf. Can we not laugh at that anymore? It's not fucking funny, and it's just a cheap. It's done. It's overdone. It's a cheap shot. It's low hanging fruit. Find something else. I just correlate the two a little bit. Does it make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
I do think they're trying to
get
marketing. at the yeah. But they're also trying to get at the throat of the thing that masculinity is most vulnerable, or what they think would hurt these masculine idiots the most, and that is to say that they're not masculine, and that's where I think it comes from. I don't think that that's right.
But that's the thing, is being gay doesn't mean you're not masculine.
Exactly.
Right. But growing up, I had no one to look at and go, oh, this is just this dude plays football. Like it was so polarizing. You play football? You're gay? That can't be.
Right.
Well, it is, and it very much can be. I'm glad that a lot of those stigmas are not really out there, but I don't know what it's like to be a 15-year-old right now. I don't know what that feels like, and I don't know that I wanted to come out when I came out. I was kind of led into emotional and physical encounter with someone, and I didn't really want it, and I thought it was maybe more special than it was, when at the end of the day they just really wanted to control me and control being able to push me to come out and tell other people that I'm gay, and that they led that charge, and then I allowed them to have control over that.
Is that come from a power thing, a control thing?
From their standpoint, yeah, but I didn't realize that till years and years later, and it really was very damaging, and it wasn't how I wanted to do it.
Were they older?
No, but they definitely had. No, they weren't
Okay.
older, same age.
My
but we're
questions are stupid.
very,
I'm sorry.
No, they're not stupid. No, we're cutting that from other things.
Okay,
Strike
yeah,
that from
yeah.
the record.
We
Nothing's
don't
stupid
cut anything
here.
on here.
I know.
That's not true. I
Well,
was asked
sometimes
to
we'll
cut
cut
some
the whole
things
show.
from
Yeah.
somebody, and I
Have-
did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
One person asked for some cuts, and I made them.
Hmm.
Yep, I did. You were on that podcast.
Yeah,
Anyways.
but I'm curious to know what, but I mean, I was curious to know what the gay experience was like being out as well, but I was led into coming out. And looking back, I don't think I would have done it then.
Yeah.
It didn't serve me, really.
And it should have been your choice, 100%.
Yeah, but we weren't in a place of dialogue where, hey, this is your time,
Right,
your choice,
right.
and you come out whenever you're ready. And I realize now this person that loved me so much and I was with for a minute, for definitely for more than a minute, wanted control
Yeah.
over my story. And so I gave it, and unwillingly being misled into this experience. And yeah, it's a bummer. I'm curious to know why I did that, why I allowed that to happen.
I think we all have a bit of a people pleaser in us, and I think when someone has more experience about something than we do, that we grant them more control than we think we do at the moment, and we think that they have certain wisdom, especially when they say something like when you're younger and someone says something with a bit of authority, you're like, oh, well, it must be true because they're so forceful, they're so adamant about the way that they say it. So allow yourself some grace. I'm curious though, growing up in the early aughts as you did, being 28 and all, would have thought there was just more awareness about. No,
it wasn't.
Oh, okay. Not bad.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It was a weird way to get to it, but like I did it anyway.
Here, could you get one of my wallets out of the bag, please?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
So
Look at my ID.
this was a really interesting conversation. Yeah, you guys want to just quickly go over some myths about curiosity?
Yeah, why do they say curiosity killed the cat? That means don't be curious.
Well, I think that goes right into your
right, and that's
the
what
line of like stay away.
stop.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
I remember. Go ahead.
I thought of that when I opened those packages recently that I
You may have got glitter bombed.
should not have opened.
Oh,
Right after I did that, I was like, my immediate thought was, I am so upset that I just did that because I didn't like what I saw.
you almost wish you just thrown it in the trash.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Curiosity
curiosity
killed the cat.
Yes.
So just for context, there were some packages
Okay,
dropped.
we have
dropped
come full
outside.
circle, and this is actually a good episode. Yeah.
Let's give the context of what happened, though.
Okay.
Right. So there
Claire
were
committed mail
packages-
fraud.
Oh.
Cut that.
So there were packages that were left on a doorstop for like over a month, and Claire asked the landlord, "What did you do?" She said, "Throw it out."
And this is a
You know.
newer residence.
Yes.
And someone had been around.
So someone obviously wasn't claiming it after a month. So out of curiosity,
You look at it.
instead
Why
of just
would you
throwing,
claim it?
you opened it, right?
Either it was going to go in the garbage or it was going to.
But you discussed it with the owner of the building, saying, "I have no."
And it was sent to that address. So you didn't.
I'm gonna-
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the things
I'm
that
gonna
I
be
found in the packages were things that I wish I hadn't seen. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, but they weren't naughty things. You
well,
automatically when you
I
say
don't
that it was a
know.
naughty.
I think they
Not-
pointed in a naughty direction.
Yes, they
Well,
weren't
yes.
sexual objects. Let's
Yes,
just put it
okay.
that way.
But we're also judging a book. I mean, listen, this is also goes into
a
like
wallet by its
this is-
imprint. There were 3 wallets in
But
there.
isn't
that
it
had,
also a little bit of judgment of going, well, this is actually a style of like,
Sure.
so, but the style is very violent. The
Yes.
style comes from a form of violence. So I'm curious to know why someone thinks that that's
fashionable.
cool or that's fashionable. I'm like, it's actually the roots of that are just really
Well, unfortunately,
troubling.
with the things that I see in the news and the things that I know that happen, and also in the industry that I work in, those types of things that I saw in that
Yeah,
package are frightening things.
But I didn't really think about putting that together. That's interesting too. I'm
so
curious.
this is something I do think about.
I've said it
Now
5 times
I think the
now.
audience, if they've made it this far, are curious about what was actually in the boxes.
We can't say. It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Can I just no, finish what you're gonna say. I'm sorry.
No, I'm fine. Go.
Okay. I was just gonna say that the curiosity killed the cat saying is also about warning about excessive and reckless curiosity, and is often used to discourage questioning. So yeah, it definitely has that red light, put the brakes on. Is there such thing as reckless curiosity?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Like, I really want to see what's behind the door that someone told you not to open.
Yeah, I get that often with my students too. Like, a fight happens in school or whatever, and they are gossipy about what they think happened, how this goes down. We had a lockdown drill the other day where we were locked down for like 30 minutes, so you knew it wasn't like a drill. And the gossip that was coming out of what could have happened, they were all curious. So I guess that would be considered reckless curiosity for sure.
Yeah.
Curiosity is the mother of invention. It's corny.
Art. Grady doesn't look pleased.
I don't understand it. I just don't understand it.
It's like the idea of poverty leads to invention when we're
Yes,
creating.
I understand that.
That to me is the same
Okay.
idea.
Okay, that I don't understand.
So like when we did Curious Incident,
Estonia, the ball's in your court.
So when we did Curious Incident, we didn't have the money to afford all of the contraptions that were in the Broadway production. So we had to figure out how we could give Christopher's experience without money, So we spent some money, but we couldn't make the stage move and all of that stuff.
Well, some people would take
so.
that and just not do anything with it.
True. What we like to think of this idea of like poverty is the
Poor
key
theater,
to
the art of poor theater.
Oh, so this is something that you guys had discussed before, and I
Yeah,
didn't know
I
that?
think, yeah,
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
And it's how I.
but people say it too, like poverty leads to creativity because you have to solve
Yes.
something when you
not
don't have.
having the resources to do something forces you to find the resources to get it
Yes.
done.
But before you go on, I think a lot of queer people in their youth, especially, or if they've come out later, do get themselves into a lot of maybe dangerous situations because of being curious or that need for touch or things. I mean, I found myself in my 20s, especially living in New York, being in some potentially dangerous situations, and I don't know why I got myself into them, but just the need to figure out who I was as a queer man. I don't know. And then you all of a sudden, wait, why am I here? And why am I doing this kind of partying? I'm not talking about I want to be clear, like crystal meth and heroin or anything like that.
It's
But
okay,
again,
we'd still love you.
But it doesn't matter anyway. Just the fact is I look back and go, that was kind of a dangerous situation that curiosity brought me into to figure out who I am. But I don't know why.
I don't know that I'd say it was reckless though.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was reckless behavior because of it. I definitely should have been smarter.
Yeah.
And I got lucky.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes-
you
A
know, if
couple
we were
times.
smarter in our past, we wouldn't be having these podcasts.
That's true.
Wait,
We'd
but you
be
had-
out at brunch on a Sunday morning. No, we wouldn't be
God.
brunching.
Just the
Members
thing.
of the
I'm not
club,
interested in perfection here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's end on this awful one.
Okay, great.
To get us riled up. It says, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. What the fuck does that mean? Oh my God. It's a humorous twist on the original, implying that curiosity can be risky, but the satisfaction of discovery makes it worthwhile.
Oh, whatever.
Whatever.
That was not
I don't really
clear.
like any phrases that involve killing cats.
I'm
so.
packing up.
Yeah, I guess that makes a difference, right? Well, thanks for joining us. This was a really interesting conversation. No, you don't want to quit.
No,
Grady?
I just still again the curiosity killed the cat.
You want
I
to
hate that saying.
What do you
The
want to
cat
do?
has 9 lives.
Oh no.
I mean, cats can die.
What?
Like,
Spoilers.
well, finally, they
Oh.
can die.
That's what I thought after 9 Lives.
I mean,
On
yeah.
a good note, if you guys have not seen this third Puss in Boots movie, I know it's been out for like ages.
Is it great?
It's fucking fantastic. It has no right to be as good as it is. I only say that because it's
the DreamWorks Puss in Boots.
Yeah,
It's
There's
on
a
Netflix?
1 and 2, and now there's a third.
Yeah, there's a third one, and the third one is the best. Let me tell you, because it's about he's on his last life,
Oh.
so he's got to be a little bit
Does
more.
he die? Because I don't want to
No.
watch it.
I was about to say I can't do.
I
any
don't think so. No, but this movie is so much better than it has any right to be. I remember being in the theater, we were watching it, going, I can't believe how good this is.
Do I have to watch the first 2?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. Not at all. Puss in Boots 3, the final wish or whatever it is. That's what I recommend. What do you recommend, Grady?
What movie do I recommend?
I don't know. Whatever. Recommend something.
I recommend
Phaedra?
going to the National Theater live and watching The Other Place, an adaptation of Antigone. It's quite
Nice.
brilliant.
With Emma Darcy from House of Dragons.
Yes, and she's just wonderful in it. And it's 90 minutes, not too much of your time.
Not too
Don't
much.
worry,
Not
you'll
too
make
much.
it through.
Feels like 3, but it's not too much. All right. So, Claire, what do you recommend?
A movie?
I don't know. Anything Dante's Peak, obviously.
If you're into disaster films.
Titanic 2. Not again.
Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Encyclopedia of Fairies.
Encyclopedia. Wait, Encyclopedia? Is that about feet? Ew.
It's the
Fairy
first book in a
feet? Ew.
series by Heather Fawcett, and it's adorable, and I love it.
Look, you got 3 recommendations because we're curious. That's why. Anyways, thanks for listening.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Meow. Meow.
There we go. There it is.
Whiskers. Whiskers.
Is that
Oh,
what we named our imaginary cat as Whiskers?
Shitty Whiskers is his full name. Shitty
Bye.
Whiskers.
Wow. So, that was our episode. That went in a lot of different places, and I didn't expect it to go that way, but, hopefully that is something that you have gotten used to on the Last Will podcast. I think there's definitely a distinction between what Grady was saying, which is the idea of curiosity as a mindset and questioning is the action to question, being the verb that you can be in pursuit of. But wow, we went to a lot of different places, and we got Claire very silent for a while we yabbered on about acting process, and then I definitely felt the need to stay quiet when we were hearing about what the queer perspective and the woman's perspective was on the desire to be curious and how society has maybe told them to be quiet. So a lot of interesting stuff. Thank you for listening to the Last Will podcast. If you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe. It is very helpful to us, so do it, please. I'm asking you, begging you. Subscribe. It helps us and lets us know and boosts our whatever it is on the algorithm and all of that fun stuff. If you want to reach out to us, we can be found at The Last Will Podcast on Instagram, or you can email me at mattyoung, MATYOUNG, at The Last Will Podcast. Till next time, onward, forward.